South Korean President Yoon impeached over martial law debacle. Eight Arab countries vow to support peaceful transition process in Syria. Hello and good afternoon, and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Otto Othman and you're watching World Today. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been impeached by the National Assembly over his short-lived attempt to impose martial law, a move that plunged South Korea into political turmoil halfway through his presidency. The unicameral National Assembly voted 204 to 85 on Saturday to impeach Yoon, the second such vote in 8 days. 3 members abstained and 8 votes were declared invalid. The vote was done by secret ballot, with 2/3 of the votes required for impeachment. All 300 members of the Assembly cast their ballots. In a statement following the vote, Yoon vowed to do his best for his country until the end. With his impeachment, Yoon is automatically suspended from office while South Korea's Constitutional Court deliberates his fate. Prime Minister Han Duk-soo is taking over as the interim president. The Constitutional Court would then have 180 days to rule on Yoon's future. If it backs his removal, Yoon would become the second president in South Korean history to be successfully impeached. Park Geun-hye, another conservative president, was impeached in December 2016 and was removed from office in March 2017. Meanwhile, South Korea's acting president Han Duk-soo vowed he would do his best to stabilize state affairs in accordance with the constitution and laws, vowing to leave no vacuum in the country's politics. Han made the remarks during a public address after Yoon was officially suspended from his duties as president when the impeachment resolution was delivered to his office, making the prime minister the acting president.
굳건한 안보 태세를 확립하고 대외 신뢰를 안정적으로 관리해 나가겠습니다. 한미, 한미일, 그리고 우리의 우방과의 신뢰를 유지하는 데 전 내각이 최선을 다하겠습니다. 비상경제 대응 체계를 강화하여 금융, 외환 시장이 원활하게 작동하도록 만전을 기하겠습니다.
Han also said that the government would make every effort to minimize the impact on the daily lives of the Korean people. Top diplomats from 8 Arab League countries have agreed at a meeting in Jordan to support a peaceful transition process in Syria following President Bashar al-Assad's overthrow. Foreign ministers from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, the UAE, Bahrain and Qatar issued a joint statement on Saturday after they met in the Jordanian Red Sea port of Aqaba. They said all political and social forces must be represented in the new Syrian government and warned against any ethnic, sectarian or religious discrimination and called for justice and equality for all citizens. The statement said the political process in Syria should be supported by the United Nations and the Arab League in accordance with the principles of Security Council Resolution 2254. A resolution in 2015 which set out a roadmap for a negotiated settlement. The Arab diplomats also attended the separate meeting in Aqaba that included U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, UN Special Envoy for Syria Geir Pedersen, and EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas and Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. That meeting also called for an inclusive and representative government that respects the rights of minorities and does not offer a base for terrorist groups. Meanwhile, the Arab diplomats also condemned Israel's incursion into the buffer zone, demanding that Israel withdraw its forces from Syrian territory. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also said in a statement that he was deeply concerned by the recent and extensive violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The UN has said Israel is in violation of 1974 disengagement agreement between Israel and Syria that established the buffer zone. Israel, however, claimed that the 1974 disengagement agreement collapsed with the fall of the Syrian government. Israel's defense minister has instructed troops to prepare to stay for winter on the peak of Mount Hermon. which sits on the border between Syria, Lebanon, and a UN demilitarized buffer zone in the Golden Heights. The announcement comes after Israel seized control of the zone on 8th December after the fall of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The summit of Mount Hermon is on the Syria-Lebanon border, while the UN base near the summit is within the buffer zone. Palestinian security forces clashed with Hamas on Saturday in a flashpoint-occupied West Bank city of Jenin, and at least one gunman was killed. Friction between Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas's Western-backed Palestinian Authority, or PA, and Hamas in Jenin rose over the past week. The PA's security branch said in a statement on Saturday that its forces were undertaking security operation to restore law and order to the refugee camp. The sounds of gunshots and explosions rang out from Jenin, and Palestinian security forces could be seen setting up checkpoints. The Palestinian group Hamas, which has been fighting Israeli forces in Gaza for more than a year, condemned the PA for the Jenin operation and its allied group. Jenin has also been a hotbed of conflict between the Palestinian groups and the Israeli military in recent years. Since March 2022, Jenin and outlying areas in the north of West Bank have drawn intensified Israeli raids after a spate of Palestinians' street attacks. U.S. President-elect Trump on Saturday named Ali Devin Nunes, a former U.S. lawmaker who now runs Trump's Truth Social DJT.O social media platform, to serve as chairman of President's Intelligence Advisory Board. Nunes, a longtime Trump defender who led the U.S. House of Representatives Intelligence Committee during part of Trump's first White House term, will remain Truth Social CEO while serving on the advisory panel. As committee chair, Nunes alleged that the FBI had conspired against Trump during its investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential elections, in which Trump defeated Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. The President's Intelligence Advisory Board is a White House panel that offers the President independent assessments of intelligence agencies' effectiveness and planning. Meanwhile, Trump picked Richard Grenell, his former intelligence chief, as presidential envoy for special missions, a post where he will likely drive policies towards some U.S. advisories, including North Korea and Venezuela. Grenell served as Trump's ambassador to Germany, a special presidential envoy for Serbia and Kosovo peace negotiations, and as acting director of national intelligence during Trump's 2017-2021 term. U.S. President-elect names special envoys to focus on global issues or crises that often go beyond an ambassador's focus on bilateral relations with another country. Coming up, ABC to pay $15 million to settle defamation suit brought by Trump. Renewed flooding battered many areas in the southern provinces of Surat Thani and Nakhon in Tamarat in Thailand on Saturday, and has claimed 2 lives so far. In Surat Thani, heavy downpours that have persisted since Thursday caused water levels in canals and other water sources to overflow on Saturday, sending a huge volume of water into agricultural areas, roads and houses in 3 districts: Muang, Kachanadit and Donsak. The flooding has affected 315 households living in 42 villages in the 3 districts. In Kachanadit, runoff poured through the area, with floodwater rising about 1 meter on Saturday. Rescue workers helped move belongings from 5 affected houses to higher areas. Thayut Supawi Bunhol, Deputy Governor of Surat Thani, ordered district authorities to provide assistance to residents hit by floods and landslides and to survey damage in their areas. In Nakhon Si Tamarat, floodwaters rose to 30 to 50 centimeters on the west side of the municipality area in Muang district on Saturday. In Tha Sala district, roads were heavily flooded, rendering them impossible for vehicles in Tampon Tha Sala. Local residents had to rely on boats to enter their communities. Greece Coast Guard said on Saturday at least 5 migrants drowned after a wooden boat capsized off Greece's southern island of Kavdos, while witnesses mentioned many were still missing as search operations continued. So far, 39 men, most of them from Pakistan, have been rescued by cargo vessels sailing in the area. The migrants have been transferred to the island of Crete, adding that the number of those missing had not yet been confirmed. Coast Guard boats, merchant vessels, and an Italian frigate and naval aircraft have been searching the area since Greek authorities were alerted about the incident on Friday night. In separate incidents on Saturday, a Malta-flagged cargo vessel rescued 47 migrants from a boat sailing about 40 nautical miles off Kavdos, while a tanker rescued another 88 migrants some 28 nautical miles off the tiny island of Greece's south. Greece was a favored gateway to the European Union for migrants and refugees from the Middle East, Africa, and Asia in 2015-2016, while nearly 1 million people landed on its islands, mostly via inflatable dinghies. Incidents with migrant boats and shipwrecks off Crete and its tiny neighbor Kavdos, which are relatively isolated in the central Mediterranean, have increased over the past year. ABC News has agreed to give $15 million to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's presidential library to settle a lawsuit over comments that anchor George Stephanopoulos made on air involving the civil case brought against Trump by writer E. Jean Carroll, a court document filed on Saturday showed. Now, the lawsuit filed on 19th March in U.S. District Court in southern Florida accused Stephanopoulos of making the statements with malice and a disregard for the truth. It said the statements were distributed widely to third parties and repeated. An ABC News spokesperson mentioned in a statement the parties have reached an agreement to dismiss the lawsuit on the terms in the court filing. The lawsuit cites a 10-March interview with U.S. Representative Nancy Mace, a Republican who was spoken publicly about being raped as a teenager. During the interview, Stephanopoulos claimed Trump was found liable for rape and asked her how she could endorse the candidate. According to the settlement, ABC News must publish a statement at the bottom of 10 March online article that accompanied the interview. Federal police arrested Brazil's former defense minister, Walter Braga Neto, on Saturday after the retired army general was accused in November of plotting a coup to overturn the results of the 2022 election. Braga Neto, whom police accused of being a central figure in the alleged coup attempt, has denied any role in the event. Braga Neto served as chief of staff for former President Jair Bolsonaro and was his running mate for a failed 2022 re-election bid. In a statement that did not name Braga Neto, federal police said it had served 2 search warrants, an arrest warrant, and a precautionary measure other than arrests against people allegedly hindering investigations. The searches happened at Braga Neto's residence in Rio de Janeiro and the home of retired Colonel Flavio Botelho Peregrino in Brasilia, adding that Braga Neto would be put under army custody in Rio. In November, federal police accused Braga Neto, along with Bolsonaro, other cabinet members and former military commanders, of plotting a coup to bar President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva from taking office after he won the 2022 election. Croatia's Independent Union of Secondary School Employees on Saturday joined the wage increase protests initiated by the Science Union and the Preporod School Union in Croatia's capital, Zagreb. The protesters were demanding higher salaries and protesting the introduction of valuations of public services, which would include those employed in education sectors. In a speech addressing protesters, the president of the Preporod School Union, Zeljko Stipic, said evaluations in educational and scientific institutions were out of question.
Ovi sindikati zahtijevaju da se linearno povećaju svi koeficijenti za sva radna mjesta u obrazovanju i znanosti, a da se koeficijenti onih radnih mjesta koja sada ne postoje, a to su naši pomoćnici u nastavi, također nađu u uredbi o koeficijentima.
Croatian teachers are demanding a wage increase of just over 6%, saying their salaries lag other public sector roles. The government said the strike has no justification after it announced in October a wage hike of 6.12% for all public sector employees from next year. The unions claim that more than 90% of their members rejected the government's offer, as their salaries would still keep lagging behind other public sector roles. The founder and owner of fashion empire Mango, Isaac Andik, died on Saturday in a mountain accident. The police said he was 71. The businessman slipped and fell over 100 meters from a cliff while hiking with relatives in the Metresat caves near Barcelona, Spain. Born in Istanbul, Andik moved with his family to the northeastern Spanish region of Catalonia in the 1960s and founded Mango in 1984. According to Forbes, he was worth $4.5 billion. He was non-executive chairman of the company when he died. Andik was seen as a rival to Mancio Ortega, the owner of Inditex, one of the world's largest fast fashion retailer. Mango had a turnover of $3.2 billion in 2023, with 33% of its business online and a presence in more than 120 markets and 15,500 employees worldwide. As part of its latest strategic plan, Mango aims to have more than 3,000 stores worldwide by 2026. Coming up in sports, goalkeeper Hazik's blunder hands Thailand victory over Malaysia. The country's in-form men's doubles pair Go Zifei and Nur Izzuddin Rumsani produced a historic feat by stepping into the final of the Badminton World Federation BWF World Tour Finals WTF after a fierce battle that lasted for 81 minutes in Hangzhou, China last night. Zifei and Nur Izzuddin battled in a thrilling match to defeat Indonesia's high-riding pair, Fajar Alfian and Muhammad Rian Ardianto, 17-21, 21-16 and 27-25 in the semi-finals at the Hangzhou Olympic Sports Center Gymnasium. The victory was the fourth for Zifei and Nur Izzuddin against the same pair from 11 previous meetings. A victory in the WTF 2024 will certainly be another feather in their cap of Zifei and Nur Izzuddin, as they have already won 4 titles this year, namely the Arctic Open, China Open, Japan Open and Masters Abu Dhabi 2023. Zifei and Nur Izzuddin will face world number 2 Kim Astrup and Anders Skarup Rasmussen of Denmark in the final later today. Earlier, the country's top mixed doubles pair, Cheng Tan-ji and To Yi-hui, confirmed their place in the final after defeating senior pair Go Sun-hwat and Chevon Lai Jamie 21-15, 21-12 in a 42-minute all-Malaysian semi-final. It was Tang Ji and Yi-hui's fourth win over the husband and wife pair in 7 encounters. In the final today, the world number 8 will meet China's third-ranked Zheng Ziwei and Huang Ya-qiong, who defeated compatriots Jiang Zhenbang and Wei Yaxin 21-11, 21-18 in the other semi-final. Malaysia endured their first defeat in the Asian Cup 2024, narrowly losing 1-0 to defending champions Thailand in their third Group A match at the Rajagamangala National Stadium in Bangkok last night. The match saw Malaysia on the defensive for much of the first half as Thai attacking midfielder Supat Munta orchestrated several threatening moves. However, none of his teammates managed to capitalize on his passes to find the back of the net. The Harimau Malaya squad struggled to create meaningful chances, breaking into the War Elephants penalty box only occasionally. Strikers Muhammad Hakimi Azim Rosli and Endrick Dos Santos failed to trouble Thai goalkeeper Patiwat Kamai with their attempts. Thailand, 7-time ASEAN Cup champions, finally broke the deadlock in the 57th minute following an error by Malaysian goalkeeper Muhammad Haziq Nazri. Hazik's misplaced pass landed at the feet of Thai midfielder Supahat, who generously passed the ball to forward Patrick Gustafsson, who made no mistake in converting the opportunity into the decisive goal. The Malaysian side then pushed hard for an equaliser, but despite their best efforts, Malaysia could not find a way back into the game. The defeat leaves Malaysia needing a strong performance in their last Group A match against Singapore in Bukit Jalil next Friday to secure a spot in the next stage of the tournament. In Italy, Edoardo Bove caught up with his Fiorentina teammates during training on Saturday, nearly 2 weeks after his harrowing on-pitch cardiac arrest. Midfielder Bove was given a warm round of applause by his teammates when he joined a squad meeting ahead of Sunday's trip to Bologna in full training kit. Bove, on loan at Fiorentina from his boyhood team Roma, did not take part in Saturday's afternoon session at the club's Viola Park Training Centre. The 22-year-old was discharged from Florence's Careggi Hospital on Friday, where he had been since collapsing on the Stadio Artemio Franchi turf during Fiorentina's Serie A fixture with Inter Milan on 1st December. He underwent surgery to install a defibrillator, which could later be removed if deemed safe to do so. But his career in Italy is at risk, as subject to further tests, a permanent device may yet be needed. A source who has worked on the medical staff at a Serie A club said that there is nearly no chance that a footballer with a defibrillator would qualify for the medical certificate, which is a legal requirement to play sport at any level in Italy. Italian Daniela Barbosa and Austria's Sabine Payer raced to wins in the Snowboard World Cup parallel giant slalom event on Saturday under the lights at Cortina Resort. The Italian was guaranteed the win on the men's side as Barbosa defeated countryman Aaron March in the big final, with Austrian Alexander Payer claiming the podium's final step with his win over fellow Austrian Fabian Obnan in the small final. On the women's side, Payer narrowly outdueled Poland's Alexandra Kroll-Wallace in the big final, while Italian Jasmine Corati earned third place with her small final victory over Japan's Tsukabe Miki. Payer, formerly Sabine Skofman, now competes with partner Alexander's name. Barbosa currently sits second in the overall World Cup standings, 16 points behind Slovenia's Team Matsnak, while Miki maintains a 20-point advantage over Payer in the women's table. In the Alpine Nations Cup, Italy lead Austria with 2,052 total points to 1,668. Up next, China's spherical security robot enhances policing in crowded streets. Under shaded trees, artisan weavers work with wooden looms weaving aso-oke fabric, a traditional Yoruba textile. Aso-oke is hand-loomed by Yoruba community from southwest Nigeria. For Abaldine Mariam, this trade is her lifelong source of income.
Ó wà ní àti wípé ẹni tí ò bá lákì kanjú kò lè ṣe kò dẹ̀ tún sí ní ìlú táwa yìí dẹ̀ ní kò fẹ́ lè sọ pé lẹ́yìn iṣẹ́ aṣojú kò sí iṣẹ́ mi tó jáwó jù fún àwọn tó jẹ́ àwọn ọmọlẹ̀ iṣẹ́ òfin nìkan náà ni kò sí conflict kò sí nǹkan náà ló fi dàbí pé ó jẹ́ iṣẹ́ tí gbogbo wa fi bẹ́ẹ̀ yàn láàyè.
Some view aso-oke as old-fashioned and labor-intensive, making it less appealing. Younger people may prefer faster, more affordable fashion options, disconnecting from aso-oke's cultural significance. Designers are combining aso-oke with Western fabrics to create fusion pieces, making it more versatile. Aso-oke production is focusing on sustainable practices, using eco-friendly materials such as natural dyes and organic cotton blends. These approaches are redefining aso-oke, appealing to modern fashion enthusiasts while promoting environmental responsibility. A robot security guard that can operate both on the ground and in the water, with the ability to track, combat, and capture has recently been on patrol side by side with police officers in a crowded commercial district in Wenzhou City, East China's Xinjiang province, as part of the country's efforts to deploy advanced technology to aid public security work. The spherical robot, decked out with cameras and flashing lights, rolled and tilted around without tippling over, drawing public attention with its futuristic shape and functions. The robot's design and mobility enables it to reach many corners which traditional patrol equipment cannot get to. In addition, the robot can drive itself by collecting and transmitting GPS coordinates information on site. And it is mounted with net guns to aim at a suspect and fire a net to entangle the target. The robot can be equipped with different sensors and devices so as to adapt to demands under any circumstances. Rome has embraced the festive season with eco-friendly decorations as it prepares for the Jubilee year, starting on Christmas Eve Day amid extensive construction works. Rome's decorations this year highlight sustainability. Low consumption lights and minimal CO2 emissions define the project, with Via del Corso transformed into a 2-kilometer-long canopy of lights. The display features 49 water drop motifs, symbolizing the importance of this universal resource, and luminous globes representing global unity and solidarity, a nod to the Jubilee's themes of hope and togetherness. Beyond the historic center, illuminated projections of adorn landmark buildings in Rome's outer neighborhoods. This initiative reinforces the city's commitment to becoming a sustainable and welcoming capital, spreading festive cheer while promoting environmental consciousness across all its districts. This year's centerpiece, a towering figure from Lamborghini, was moved from its traditional location in Piazza Venezia to Piazza del Popolo due to ongoing Metro C construction. The relocation did little to dim the festive spirit, as approximately 5,000 people gathered to witness the tree's inaugural lighting. Around 1,200 cycling Santas descended on central London on Saturday, adding a splash of colour to the capital as part of a fundraising event to support children's charity. Onlookers gazed on in amazement as the army of Santas cycled down Pall Mall towards Buckingham Palace. Dressed in red Santa suits, some as elves with faces painted green, they toured the capital to collect money. The event marked the 10th edition of annual Santa Cruise, set up by BMX cycling enthusiast Stephen Wright, who got the idea for the event after receiving support from the ECO charity after his son was hospitalized after suffering a heart attack aged only 6 months. On London's Oxford Street, the cycling Santa squeezed past London black cabs and buses, standing out from the crowd of pre-Christmas shoppers on one of the busiest days of the year. Well, that concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, South Korean President Yoon impeached over martial law debacle. Until then, I'm Otto Othman. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant day ahead.